anything more from you at this stage. I'll just introduce Corey Graham. Corey is a social media entrepreneur and CEO of Adrenaline Productions. Corey is a young Barbadian entrepreneur who focuses on social media and leveraging online platforms for businesses and professionals. He is the owner and director of Adrenaline Productions and has partnered on major products with Invest Barbados, Sally Tech Expo, and Boom Tribe, to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Graham 2.0.
Good afternoon, everybody. I must congratulate Norm and Bill. They gave you some really good insights. I just want now to, as Tony said, I just want to kind of bring that and put that through a Caribbean lens, and for the next few minutes just toss up some things at you to make you think. Next slide. Right, well, this is just my business, AdrenalineProductions.biz. I kind of define it as bringing you into the online world in general, because it also means social media might also mean a change to your website. Next slide. Right. So I've been an active blogger, content manager, and social media marketer in the Caribbean space for the past few years. And preparing this talk, basically, I kind of took some pictures that I took around Barbados to help me illustrate the points. To kind of do that with the robbery that Bill described, I actually know the guy who created Rihanna Daily, who ultimately became the place that CNN and all these large organizations use to track Rihanna. He's just about 19 years old today, and he's accomplished all that and actually starting to work directly with Rock Nation. But anyways, he was by Independence Square, and he was telling us a story, and he was sitting by the traffic, and somebody pulled open his door and snatched his bag or something like that. And he was sitting next to his mother on his way to school, and he actually said the only thing he could think of doing is updating his status after it happened. Alright, so next slide. Alright, so how things are now. Next. Right now in the Caribbean, in comparison to the developed countries, a lot of our local business transactions are still offline. The lack of credit card penetration is the primary reason for this, as we will all know. Right? I believe that is this lack of e-commerce that is going to be the core reason why the internet, and by extension our social networks, will develop a little bit differently. Just in terms of investment into social networks, fewer businesses are investing in social media because it's a bit difficult to make a business case with social media. So let me tell you a short story. And basically, I had a client who went to an international conference, and they were told, you have to be on social media, you have to be social media. And after pushing and pushing me, we started to do social media. So we started to do social media, and they loved it, and they said how great it was, and so on. And when I sent them the first invoice, then I started to hear, how do I know this is working for me? And that was kind of amazing after they were so gung-ho. And then I started thinking, in that particular moment I started thinking, like, in our local market, how we interact with social media is going to be inherently different to how some of the larger developed nations interact with social media, and we'll have to figure out that as we go along. And to further illustrate that point, I had a 60-year-old who moved to the United States, and he came back and he told me he had a credit card and he was making he bought a pants for $2 via Facebook at the Kmart from around the corner, and they actually delivered it to his house. So that really shows how the amount of investment that Kmart would put into social media is going to be comparatively more compared to our local businesses. Also, performance-based marketing. Online and social media makes it easier for us to track online campaigns. A key example is affiliate marketing. And our online publishers, they have a challenge with selling advertising they have a challenge selling advertising because most advertisers just go with the way that's worked for them for a long time, even though they present all the numbers and so on. If transactions were online, we would be able to create dynamic affiliate programs where the advertiser just makes the ads available to the online publisher, a news website, whatever the case may be. They put it on, and then they pay. The advertiser will only pay them when a sale is actually made, basically like commission. It's a relationship with no commitments, which I'm sure some of you would appreciate. The last point on this is the BBN network is possibly one of the most used networks in the Caribbean community, not just in the Caribbean but across the world. During summer and a few weeks ago, we all lost BBM, and it really kind of ground us to a halt. I've been thinking, what's the impact of BBM on business in the Caribbean? Because we put a dollar figure or that, and then to take it to the next level, imagine if we could make payments via mobile phones, and how that would change our investment into social media. Right, next slide. So, within the Caribbean, we don't have, we come here and we talk, we meet each other, and we talk about what's going on in the industry. But in terms of social media, where do you go after this event to find what is going on a daily or weekly basis? And no matter what industry you're in, you could kind of extrapolate for that. We don't really have a lot of forums and membership websites. We do have some people who have LinkedIn groups and informally on Facebook profiles and so on, be their Google groups and so on. But in terms of having large social media or membership sites, we don't really have that right now. Next slide. Now, our content. I believe in terms of our content, the way we're engaging with our content is probably one of the biggest success stories as it relates to social media. Right? When I first started blogging, it was difficult for me to get traction with my blogging. How many people here know what RSPs are and use them? Right, just about, let's say, half. Right, so back then, even fewer people knew, and it was hard for me to get subscribers on. But now, our online publishers in the Caribbean account for the largest followings on Facebook and Twitter, and it's now people just follow them on Facebook or follow them on Twitter, and that's how they get the updates for the news and so on. Also in this area, the film and TV world is also doing pretty well. International social media in general is really kind of evolving the TV world because social media is allowing the conversation around the content. So, for example, events like the Grammys and major sporting events, following Twitter, Facebook, blogs, and other forms of social networks from right on your couch at home, it makes the experience more engaging. You're talking with the world as you're watching this event. Earlier this year, it was mind-blowing for me to actually watch the International Soca Monarch in Trinidad online and to see Caribbean soca stars like Iowa, Bungie, Fayan, Machel Montano hit the top 10 trending topics in Twitter. To put that another way, our Caribbean celebrities were the most talked about people on a network of over 175 million people around the world, noting that the Caribbean only has 40 million, and that includes Haiti. Now, in terms of carnivals, all of our carnivals, there's an expectation that they will be streamed and so on. A lot of Caribbean content is coming online. We're also seeing people like Bejan Fari just creating YouTube channels and becoming legitimate names. There's Ice Santana, and everybody knows Santana. Who knows Santana? Okay, right. And And then there's the Trinity slap chop, which came to prominence. You know, it's been so bad that I've actually seen people posing for pictures next to Santana the Muppet. But I think the real success story though is that Santana does no purely Caribbean content, and they're now able to create a movie which already it has a fan base and so on, where we're now able to consume our content just like we would a big blockbuster movie, and that really started from a YouTube channel. Alright, next slide. Right, so anybody that knows me knows I like to work virtually, so these are a couple pictures I took while I was at a hotel on Friday and then at Castle Reef in Spikestown. You know, they have a lovely view. Right? In terms of social media though, and connectivity, I think, hold on. Right, I would describe one situation. Last year at the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation Summit, myself and a couple other people, we sat around the table and we started to tweet, you know, the top things as we're doing now that came out of the conference, and we started to share them, and that started to expand very quickly across the conference, and some of the not so young people in the organization got involved and so on. And in the weeks afterwards, we continued to have that conversation about how to make Barbados better and so on. Some pretty deep conversations, believe it or not, via Twitter, starting sometimes at 8 a.m. on Sunday and going all the way up to 8 p.m. And you know, it would just happen kind of randomly over the months. But a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of looking to see, you know, why it dropped off, and what I noticed was persons who seem to use Twitter on their mobiles seem not to be using Twitter at all anymore. But the people who were using Twitter like from their desktops and so on, they seem to be still pretty much active. And my theory is because of our mobile connectivity that's actually retarding the growth of things like Twitter and location-based social networks. Next slide. So, of course, I'm a part of the move to make Barbados a Wi-Fi nation, so I felt I needed to kind of underscore just quickly. You know, the idea is to get connectivity so that we could do that, so that we could have, for example, that conversation that I was describing where we were talking about building Barbados and even sharing stuff within the industry. I know in Jamaica, for example, they use Twitter a lot to talk about ICT things, and that Twitter is the thing that pulls ICT together. So the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation is pushing for free Wi-Fi essentially to allow us to move Barbados forward. And I think you could get involved by just going out there and making strong recommendations and supporting the people who want to open up their networks and share. And we have asked people from the top to the bottom of Barbados to get involved, and just let's all get behind the initiative. Right, and next slide. Right, things for us to consider going forward. Next slide. So who owns the network? We've heard about this over and over so far at the conference, but really just to kind of underscore that again and say, you know, as our social media starts to generate cash, you know, we have to think about who owns the network. There are places like South Korea and Kenya and so on, which have their own social networks that they kind of use locally. Next slide. Right, and this was actually taken right after Hurricane Thomas around this time last year. But there is a fear factor involved with social media that I've encountered, and it really causes a change in status quo. Bill was saying that you need to listen to your customers. As we would know in Barbados, sometimes people don't listen. I actually heard a story where somebody changed their product and customers were calling in complaining, you know, giving reasons why the change in product wasn't working for them, and the secretary made them feel like that was the first call. But then they got into a group on Facebook and they found out there was actually 400 people that were making those calls. So, you know, we really do need to listen to people and engage them. And it could be kind of scary, but it is very important. I could give a positive story on last point. I work with Brewster's Road Crew, as some people would know, and I believe entertainment internationally really shows a lot of the great marketing experiments come out of entertainment. So with Brewster's Road Crew, basically they have about 7 directors, and they have a pretty big core team around them, and they were planning for the crossover season, and they put together their list of events, or a list of products that they were bringing to the community. And in 7 events, they thought it was great and so on. And I said, all right, hold on, let me just ask a question on the Facebook page. Over 6,000 people are on there. Maybe somebody has an idea. Let's just look at it. So I asked, what would you like for Crossover 2011? And when I asked that, about 20 persons responded with all the same suggestions. So then it was like, well, we have to do this, which was essentially a water event. Over the course of the coming weeks, the community essentially suggested all the features of that particular event. Nothing came from within the boardroom, so to speak. It was all the community that put that event together. The event was one of the most successful for the season, and they now have a branded event that they could go forward. So that is kind of the power of social media. Next slide. Next slide. Right, so in our next, well, I was just going to in our going about getting into social media will cause us to become innovative, and I think it's just important for us when things don't seem to be working out to remember, to keep faith, to have patience with it, embrace failure, because failure will allow you to learn. Have a vision for where you want to take it. Norm especially was talking a lot about having a strategy and knowing where you want to go. Collaboration is important, as I described with the server example. Collaborate with the community and the people out there who are into you, and just good old-fashioned leadership really works. This picture I was using to kind of illustrate the point, and that is actually a hovercraft created in Barbados. The block you see at the front is actually a lawnmower motor, and there's one at the back for direction. The one at the front basically blows the ears down, and then the skirts is on the table, and it was created by some secondary school students at the SciTech Expo. So we really could do anything for hovercraft to be created in Barbados. Right. Next slide. Right. And finally, as we develop our social networks, we need to ensure that we have a worldview as we are interacting and bringing new realities into our world, so that when anybody internationally wants to interact with us, they can easily plug into the ecosystem. Right. The next slide just has ways that you can link me. The best way to link me is actually probably just Googling Program 2.0. Right? Thanks.
Okay. We've kind of caught up a bit on our time. I'll